Welcome to A Geek's Garage. My name is Mark, and today I am going to be doing a quick review of an oil filter cutter. What is an oil filter cutter, Mark? You might be asking yourself. It's a very strangely specific question, but thank you very much for asking. This is an oil filter cutter. This is a generic oil filter cutter from Amazon that cost about $70. If I can find the link, I'll put it down below so that you know exactly which one I got. But it really doesn't matter. They're all basically the same. Quite frankly, if I had a machine shop, this is probably about $10 worth of parts and about 15 minutes worth of milling and working on a machine to put it together. So what sort of oil filter cutter and why would I want one? Well, let me show you. Basically, you're going to be able to take an oil filter and go from this to this. And basically once you've got it opened up, you can take a look at the media, you can take a look inside and look and see whether or not there's any big chunks, and big chunks would be bad. The first place these will show up is when you're changing your oil. An oil filter cutter will allow you to basically open up the oil filter and take a good look at what's inside. What did the oil filter capture? And what is your engine putting out into the oil? So let's get going. So this is a generic oil filter cutter. It's very similar to a pipe cutter. It has a set of rollers on it and a cutting surface right here. Now that we've seen what this thing looks like, let's go ahead and put it to good use. So the first thing we're going to do is wipe off any oil that might be on there, only because you're going to need to have a firm grip on it when you are twisting it in the oil filter cutter, and that'll just go much easier if it's not covered in oil. Set the oil filter cutter on top, crank down the wheel, and pushes the cutter into the casing and just start spinning. Once it breaks free, make sure you go around it one or two more times, because usually what ends up happening is at least one side doesn't quite catch. With the filter cut apart, we can now start our inspection and just start looking for anything that really shouldn't be there. Ultimately, you're looking for metal flakes or chunks of carbon, both of which you should not find inside your oil filter. One suggestion, if you're going to pull these apart, have a pair of pliers and also watch the edges because they are sharp. Also remember that no matter what, there's still going to be oil in these things, so as you're pulling them apart, just be careful of that. Make sure you're working over something to catch the oil, because there's going to be still a lot in there. I don't know if it'll show up or not, but down in the bottom you can see there's a bunch of little flakes. They appear to be carbon. They are not metal. But now we check the most important part, and that's the filter media itself. This is where, if there is going to be metal, I believe this is where it's going to show up. So that's it. Didn't really find anything, which is good. I was hoping I wouldn't. Now it's just a matter of cleaning everything up and properly disposing of the oil filter and eventually the oil that drained out of it. And there you have it. That is an oil filter cutter from beginning to end. If you got one of these things and you break open an oil filter, what are you actually looking for? So would I buy one of these things again? Well, truthfully the answer is yes, because I bought it so that I could check the oil filter for the engine on my 91 Stealth that I'm building. See here, you can go take a look at all the different cool stuff I'm doing with that. If you have an older car, it might be a good thing to get. Ultimately, I wouldn't really worry about it unless you're actually working on a lot of engines or rebuilding them, or if when you're changing your oil you do find some chunks in there. And quite frankly, if you do find some chunks in there, my suggestion would be to finish putting the oil back into it and go down to your local dealer and buy a new car and trade that one in. So with all that, thanks for watching. Feel free to check out some of my other videos. Hopefully this was helpful. And with that, keep wrenching. I probably can't say keep wrenching. I think that's Tavarish and Wrench Every Day's thing. It's probably trademarked or something, so I probably can't and shouldn't have said that. So I'll have to come up with some other tagline. But with that, see ya.